Hey everybody, welcome back to Race of History. Today we're going to get into the Caesar and Gaul series. I'm going to do this series all the way through, so it'll have the Gallic Wars, it'll have the Roman Civil War with Caesar and Pompey. All of that will be in there. Also, I'm going to do essentially like a content dump the rest of this week. So with the Winter War series and the Hannibal series, I'm essentially just going to kind of release a bunch of them throughout the week and get myself caught up. So if you see a bunch of videos released in 1 day, 2 days throughout the week, that's what it is. It's just me getting caught up. This will be the series that I do like I was doing the Napoleon series, where it will be my daily moving quickly series. But after I get caught up with the Winter War and Hannibal series, I will start the Eastern Front series by Eastory. I'll do probably 2 or 3 videos of it a week, and it'll just be double release days. So I'll do 1 video for Caesar and the Gallic Wars or Civil War, wherever we're at in this series. And then also 2 or 3 days a week, I'll also release one of the Eastern Front videos also. So with all that being said, let's get into it.
Rome had been rocked by almost half a century of civil wars, and the Republic was in decline. Both Marius and Sulla had marched on Rome, highlighting the ineffectiveness of the system for maintaining a large empire, and the fact that the legionaries were more loyal to their generals than to the state. Following this chaotic period, 3 men had established an unofficial alliance to effectively control the Republic. This was the first triumvirate, consisting of the famous general Pompey the Great, the richest man in Rome, Crassus, and Julius Caesar.
Okay, so at this point, Caesar is the least of these 3, right? Crassus is obviously the richest man in Rome. Pompey is a well-established war hero at this time. So Caesar is the least glamorous or whatever you call it. He's the least of the 3 in this triumvirate. Also, I love the first triumvirate. It's basically one of the best historical conspiracies ever to me. They basically decide that in order to effectively handle the Roman government, they are going to team up and dictate everything that it does. And they do, right? If they want something done or not done, they have the power, the money, the influence to make it happen or not happen. So this is literally one of my favorite parts of history, is the first triumvirate and that sort of behind the scenes conspiracy of the government of Rome at this time.
Caesar had been consul the year before in 59 BC, but his political campaigning had left him in debt and made him many enemies in Rome. He needed to make money fast and gain enough military success to keep his political adversaries at bay. When the time came for distributing provinces for Caesar to govern as proconsul, he was able to use his political allies to secure Cisalpine Gaul, Illyricum, and Transalpine Gaul for an unprecedented 5 years. This put Caesar in control of 4 veteran legions, the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, all of whom had fought with Caesar before in Hispania and were loyal to him.
Also, one of the things that talks about kind of in passing there is Caesar's debt. Caesar has a ton of debt. It is dictating a lot of what his thought process is here, because how could it not? Debtors held him in Rome and wouldn't let him leave until he paid his debt, until Crassus came in and got them off his back. Debt is what is pushing him in the direction he's about to go in here. And we've talked about in other videos, but one of the greatly overlooked things about historical conflict and, conquering places is slavery. Slavery is a huge part of conquest, especially in this time period. And it's where Caesar is going to get a vast sum of money, right? He's going to essentially strip all of the area of valuables, but he takes a ton of slaves in the Gallic Wars.
They had a total of roughly 22,000 legionaries, plus auxiliaries. Caesar now had the men he needed. All he needed was an excuse for war. Fortunately for Caesar, a Celtic tribe, the Helvetii, was planning a migration into Gaul in 58 BC. Their leader, Orectorix, had formed a confederation with a number of neighbouring tribes, the Tulingi, Latubrigi, Rauraki and Boii, and now they numbered 368,000 men, women and children. Orectorix had even convinced them all to burn their homes in order to leave no option of failure. However,
also, with a lot of the information we're getting here is from Caesar directly. Caesar writes directly about almost everything that happens in Gaul. You have to take it all with a grain of salt because he would know the most, but he's also the one that has the most to gain by how it's portrayed. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. But he actually portrays Orgetorix and the alliances made as a triumvirate. It's very interesting because he portrays the Gauls who are in this conspiracy the same way that in reality he and Crassus and Pompey are in Rome. It's a weird sort of psychological mirroring thing where he's portraying what he's doing and he's putting it on some Gallic leaders here. It's a weird move.
However, soon he was accused of being a tyrant and was forced to commit suicide. Command passed to Divico. Divico was determined to stick to the plan and began amassing supplies in order to start pouring into Gaul. To do this, they would either have to pass through the land of the Roman ally Aedui and the province of Transalpine Gaul, or take the longer route through the mountain passes in the north. The Romans had built up a healthy fear of migrating tribes following the Cimbrian War in 113 to 101 BC, and so Caesar, hearing of this, was only too willing to come to the rescue of the Aedui. He took the only available legion in the area and force-marched them up to Geneva, destroying the bridge on the Rhone that provided access into Transalpine Gaul. The Helvetii appealed to Caesar, asking for military access through Roman lands and promising they would not attack. Caesar played for time, pretending to consider this offer for almost 15 days. Using this time, his legion was able to construct a fortified embankment almost 5 meters high, stretching 20 miles along the riverbank. With the legion manning the embankment and now in a stronger position, Caesar denied the Helvetii access and refused to allow them to cross. Some of the Helvetii ignored this and attempted to cross nonetheless in small boats, but were prevented from doing so by the legionaries throwing javelins and shooting arrows into them.
Okay, so you have to remember in this story, we aren't talking about, 300, 400, some odd thousand warriors. There are warriors in the Helvetii tribe, but it's the whole migrating group is not all warriors, right? It's men, women, children, supplies, caravans. It's literally like a mass migration. So they have everything and everybody with them. So when Caesar talks about like this, he talks about them, trying to push and concentrate onto points of the wall. It sounds like families trying to get across is what it sounds like. It sounds like, because most of them were done at night. And it really sounds like families trying to sneak past. It could have been like an ordered probe, but it sounds an awful lot like it was it was families trying to get past, and they kill them all.
With the southern route thus blocked, the Helvetii decided to take the longer northern route through the mountains into Gaul. Leaving his top lieutenant, Labienus, in command, Caesar returned to Italy to levy a further 2 legions and to pull the other 3 veteran legions out of their winter quarters in Aquileia, bringing his total to approximately 33,000 legionaries plus auxiliaries. Despite Labienus being in a strong position to easily block the mountain pass, the Helvetii managed to push into Gallic territories and began ravaging the land. The Gauls pleaded with Caesar to intervene and chase the Helvetii out, and Caesar, yet again, was only too willing to help, marching his legions into the Gallic territories. The decision of Labienus to not hold the Helvetii in the mountains was likely an order received from Caesar. The Celts were now in open terrain, which better suited the Roman legions, and their pillaging of Gaul gave Caesar an excuse to intervene. Word reached Caesar that the Helvetii were currently attempting a crossing at the Arar River. They had been crossing in 4 large groups, using many rafts and boats, but due to the size of the horde and their lack of organization, the crossing had already taken them days, and one group was still yet to cross. Caesar took his legions and swiftly marched to the river. Quickly forming his legions into battle formation, Caesar fell upon the Celts waiting to cross. Caught unaware, unprepared, and encumbered by their baggage, the Helvetii did not even have enough time to form a proper battle line. The fighting was over quickly, with the whole stranded group being killed or fleeing into the nearby woods, whilst the other 3 groups could do nothing but watch helplessly from the other side of the river. The main Helvetii force began to move on, and not wanting to lose the initiative, Caesar quickly built a bridge across the river and moved all of his 6 legions across. The crossing that had taken the Celts 20 days had taken the Romans just 1. Caesar began tailing the Helvetii, waiting for the right time to strike. There were a few minor cavalry skirmishes, but nothing decisive. Caesar did once manage to find a battlefield that was advantageous, and even had Labienus in position behind the enemy. However, due to poor communication from his scouts, Caesar was forced to pull back from the battlefield.
That's kind of funny because the Romans are notoriously bad at scouting, right? They do it poorly and little.
This caused a delay in Caesar's plan, and he was beginning to run low on rations. He decided to head for the nearby town of Bibracte to resupply his army before continuing the pursuit. As he began to march off, however, Divico gave chase, harassing the rear of the Roman army. Caesar sent his cavalry and light infantry to fight a delaying action in order to buy time to deploy his main force on a nearby hill. The 4 veteran legions formed 3 lines at the front, with the 2 newly levied legions along with the auxiliaries positioned further up the hill. These men were not tested in battle, and so were not expected to do any of the fighting. Instead, they were to guard the baggage and were spread thin across the hill to seemingly increase the size of Caesar's army. The Helvetii, numbering somewhere between 60 to 90,000 warriors, had successfully fought off the Roman cavalry and light infantry, forcing them to retreat. Now they had formed their infantry into a tightly packed shield wall and advanced on the Romans. The front 2 lines of legionaries opened the battle with a volley of javelins. These hampered the Helvetii by becoming stuck in their shields, forcing them to drop them and break into a looser formation.
So the Roman javelins are made that way, right? They're made to stick and pull down. They have a bendy neck. And so because the neck bends that way, that's one of the perks of the javelins that they use, is that also the Gauls are not known for tactical brilliance. So you're going to see a lot of Caesar loves hills. There's not a lot of tactical brilliance on the Gallic side, and so you're going to see a lot of attacking uphill early on in these conflicts.
With the shield wall in disarray, the Roman front lines charged into melee. The fighting was intense and tough, but the Romans' discipline and experience gave them the edge. Slowly they began to get the upper hand, with the Helvetii being forced back to a nearby mountain. However, as the Romans pressed up the mountain, a portion of the Helvetii allies, composed of Boii and Tulingi, roughly 15,000 warriors, entered the battle. These men had been acting as a rearguard, protecting the camp, and now they fell on the Roman flank, threatening to encircle them. The Helvetii, bolstered by the arrival of their allies, began pushing back with renewed vigour. With the two front lines of legionaries already engaging the Helvetii on the mountain, Caesar committed his final line of veterans, which had been acting as a reserve. After hours of hard fighting, the Helvetii on the mountain were eventually broken and forced from the battle. However, the Boii and Tulingi fell back to the camp to make a last stand. Using their baggage wagons, they formed a makeshift rampart and continued the fight, hurling missiles down into the Roman ranks. This is where the fighting was the most difficult, as the Boii were famed warriors and fought desperately. Finally, after fighting long into the night, the third line was able to break into the camp, ending the battle. The battle had lasted almost 12 hours. Caesar had lost perhaps 5,000 men, whilst the Helvetii had lost around 40 to 60,000. Of the 368,000 people who began the migration, only 130,000 were now left. Caesar, with no cavalry to speak of, was not able to give chase immediately, and gave his men 3 days in order to recover from the battle before starting the pursuit. The Helvetii, seeing the Romans chasing them once more, surrendered completely and were forced to return to their homeland and made a vassal of Rome, acting as a buffer between Roman and Germanic lands. Caesar had achieved his aim of gaining a swift military victory, and for now he would be able to hold off his political enemies in Rome. Furthermore, the Romans had now shown themselves to be a powerful force in the Gallic theatre. After his victory, Caesar rested in Bibracte for a short time before moving on. Rumour had already reached him of a Germanic tribe that had crossed the Rhine and was terrorizing Gaul.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions for y'all. One, do y'all think that this German tribe is actually German? Like that the Germanic tribe is German in nature? Or do y'all think that is Caesar making them a Germanic tribe in order to kind of set up the narrative that he's crafting in his story? Also, what do y'all think the reasons are, this like specific reasons for Caesar wanting war in Gaul? Because he gives reasons, historians have reasons, later Roman historians have reasons. What do y'all think those reasons are? The start of this conflict has, quick battles going on. So why? What's he after? Is he trying to clear debt? Does he just want, political power in Rome that is gained by having military victories? So what do y'all think of that? Do y'all think the Germanic tribe is actually, German in nature? And also, what do y'all think of the overall strategy of divide and conquer that Caesar is going to use in Gaul? Well, what do y'all think about that? Do y'all think it's the right move? Should a different overall strategy have been used? What do y'all think?
The Gallic Wars were just starting, and in our future videos we will talk more about them, so make sure you are subscribed to our channel and have pressed the bell button.
Alright, well, like I said, there will be a lot of videos coming out this week. If you If y'all aren't interested in one or the other, just ignore them. There's been people asking for different ones, so I'm going to put them all out quickly. Like, comment, subscribe, help me keep building the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.